why raise a puppy when you can get a rescue dog who's mature and is already somewhat trained? Because sometimes ignorance is bliss. I didn't know what I was doing. I just know I wanted a dog like Max, and I went around looking for at shelter dogs, but I couldn't find another miniature Schnauzer. I went online, found a brother and sister in the Mid-Atlantic states who no one wanted because they had to come as a team. I said, I'll take them. I did the phone interview for an hour. They thought I was a great candidate, and at the end they said, oh, this is going to be fantastic, you're going to be wonderful with these dogs. And I said, they'll love Newburyport. If they behave like Max did, they'll love the woods and the beach, and they'll love the swamps, and they'll get to run off leash if they behave. And the woman said, you'd let them off leash? I said, well, if they're good with it. And she said, then you don't deserve a dog.
Oh, no.
So I ended up getting a puppy. That's why I did not rescue again, and I ended up getting Atticus. And I found a breeder online. Oh, she found me. I entered a database, and all these breeders responded. And there was one down south in Louisiana named Paige Foster who kept sending me dogs, pictures of these micro mini Schnauzers that look too perfect. As big as they get is 5 pounds. And I kept saying, no, no, no. She said, well, what are you looking for? So I finally told her it wasn't a look so much as a feel. And I told her what Max meant to me and how he changed my life. And eventually she sent back a picture. She said, well, I have this one last dog. And he's a little different. And he wasn't posed like the others. He was looking sort of bored by the whole picture-taking process. And he could care less about the camera. And the picture I saw, I said, that's the one I want. And so she gave me the advice of carry him everywhere you go the first month or two. Don't let anyone else hold him. You know, create a bond. You all will bond that way, she said. A nice Southern woman. And it is the basis of our relationship, the set of trust. You see Atticus is off leash. He hasn't had a leash on for years. He's atypical for most Schnauzers who can be hyperactive. Very smart dogs, very smart breed, but he doesn't bark like a lot of them do. He's very quiet. And on our blog, you can see pictures of him with bears and moose, where he's really relaxed.
I saw those, the moose in the background, and he's just looking at it. Yeah. My dogs would be barking like crazy.
I'm very fortunate. In our relationship, he's the calm one.
Yeah, it's just the opposite.
And it's not too often you can find a breeder who's going to, not only do you buy the dog and they'll give you advice the first week or two, but whenever I needed something, any of the people who purchased a dog from Paige Foster could go back to her at any time and ask her things. 24 hours a day you could call, and they were her babies. She put them out there, and she'd been doing it for years, and it meant a lot that they had good homes.
And she becomes a sounding board for you through the years. When you have questions, you do just that.
I do.
You contact, and you know Paige will give you her advice.
I trusted her. As so funny, as a newspaper man writing about villains and would-be villains and shady characters and an occasional hero, I would usually look for what a person was lacking and pick up on that. But with Paige, because I was so loved what Max had brought into my life, I looked at her in a different way. I looked at her with willingness to learn, and she was willing to teach. And she would later tell me, I've sold tons of dogs through the years, so you're the only one who carried out my advice to a T. And it's because I knew I didn't know anything, and I wanted him to turn out well. In some ways, I wanted him to have the life that Max never had. And in other ways, I wanted him to have the childhood I didn't have, and I wish I had had. So that's why I followed her. And she seemed to know what she was talking about.
You know, it's interesting. I think my dogs have a great life, but I come here and I say, there's one up. Okay, Atticus has even a better life than they do. Look around at this beautiful location. You don't see him on a leash. He listens to what you say, and he's totally devoted. It's really, truly wonderful.
I'm very fortunate he turned out the way he did. And some of that has to do with Paige's advice, and some of it has to do with her opinion that he was a little bit different.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.